Hello, thank you for joining with me. We are in Ken Wapnick's Journey Through the Text of A Course in Miracles, Volume 1, and we are on Chapter 6, The Lessons of Love. We are picking up the reading on the lessons of the Holy Spirit. This is still a preliminary step since having and being are still not equated. It is, however, more advanced than the first step, which is really only the beginning of the thought reversal. The second step is a positive affirmation of what you want. This, then, is a step in the direction out of conflict, since it means that alternatives have been considered, and one has been chosen as more desirable. Nevertheless, the term more desirable still implies that the desirable has degrees. Therefore, although this step is essential for the ultimate decision, it is clearly not the final one. Lack of order of difficulty in miracles has not yet been accepted, because nothing is difficult that is wholly desired. To desire wholly is to create, and creating cannot be difficult if God Himself created you as a creator. This remains a preliminary step because we still see choices, the world of duality, and thus we go back and forth between the ego and the Holy Spirit. What alone is important is the fundamental change that occurs in the mind. There is nothing else, and that is why we resist Jesus' course. Recall that we literally made the world and peopled it with bodies so we would remain mindless. But the purpose of these lessons, and indeed of A Course in Miracles itself, is to return us to the mind. This shift is brought about when we reconsider what we truly want, the peace of atonement instead of the conflict of separation. This peace is found in the right mind, referred to as the stately calm within and quiet center. It is when our decision maker becomes truly right-minded that real change occurs, and it is to this joyful choice that these three lessons lead us. However, we are still at this second step. The second step, then, is still perceptual, although it is a giant step toward the unified perception that reflects God's knowing. As you take this step and hold this direction, you will be pushing toward the center of your thought system, where the fundamental change will occur. At the second step, progress is intermittent, but the second step is easier than the first because it follows. Realizing that it must follow is a demonstration of a growing awareness that the Holy Spirit will lead you on. And as we allow the Holy Spirit to guide us through the ego's labyrinth thought system of separation and attack, we become ready for the third step. We journey slowly and patiently, for our fear of annihilation of self is still strong. Nonetheless, each step along the path reinforces awareness of our goal, and it is to this final healing, the acceptance of the atonement, that we will be ultimately faithful. C. Be vigilant only for God and His kingdom. This replaces the ego's third lesson. Be vigilant only for the ego and its kingdom. We are vigilant for the ego's kingdom of guilt by making it real in ourselves, denying its presence, and then becoming vigilant for the sin we project onto everyone else. The Holy Spirit's third step shifts the focus of our vigilance, it now becoming the means of reinforcing the decisions made in the first two lessons, particularly the second that made the Holy Spirit our teacher and peace our goal. Jesus asks us to be continually watchful, an important theme we have already seen, and which continually recurs in our symphony. With Jesus as our eyes, we are vigilant for the temptations to return to the ego and its thought system of judgment and guilt. We know we have done so when we are not at peace, and we are not peaceful when we blame others for our dis-ease. Jesus encourages us to reinforce these two preliminary steps that lead to the mind's choosing Him as our model for learning. We said before that the Holy Spirit is evaluative and must be. He sorts out the true from the false in your mind and teaches you to judge every thought you allow it to enter it in the light of what God put there. Whatever is in accord with this light, He retains to strengthen the kingdom in you. What is partially in accord with it, He accepts and purifies. But what is out of accord entirely, He rejects by judging against. This is how He keeps the kingdom perfectly consistent and perfectly unified. I am going to go ahead and stop there, and we will pick up there tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining with me, and I will see you then.